All right, guys, welcome back to Urge. Jameson, Alex here. Moving on into the next
We're
subclass.
people.
We are people. We have names.
Oh, my
you
goodness.
know? So, moving on to the next subclass, which is the Circle of Wildfire Druid. Fire. Something like that.
Fire.
Yeah. So, if you're new to the channel or to the subclass series, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of the abilities gained in this subclass. Then we're going to rate it based on its roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy based on how the abilities gained in this subclass improve on the base class abilities. So, without any further ado, Alex, take it away.
That's me.
That's you.
That's me.
That's you.
All right. As with most circle druids,
Yes.
you get free spells.
Yay.
We won't talk about it.
Yeah, the warlocks.
Poor warlocks. Burning Hands, Cure Wounds, Flaming Sphere, Scorching Ray, Plant Growth, Revivify, Aura of Life, Fire Shield, Flame Strike, Mask, Cure Wounds. You're going to catch a theme there. Most of those either heal or they burn things to the ground. There's a reason for that. Fire. So, you have formed a bond with a wildlife spirit, a primal being of creation and destruction. Once you gain access to these spells, you get them prepared and all that jazz. It's got a nice little pretty fiery fox spirit on there. It's great. So, you can summon said wildlife spirit. As an action, you can spend one use of your wild shape to, assuming a beast form of so. It's for flavor purposes. The spirit appears in unoccupied space within 30 feet area. You can see each creature within 10 feet of the spirit, other than you, which is important. When it appears, does a dex saving throw or against your spell save DC, or take 2d6 fire damage. Spirit is friendly to you, obeys your commands, and uses the creature's game statistics as set in the Wildfire Spirit stat block listed below, which we will go kapoo.
Put it up on there.
In combat, the spirit shares your initiative count, but takes its turn immediately after yours. The only action it can take is the dodge action unless you use your bonus action to make it take another command of its actions of choice. So it's got the Flame Seed for a ranged weapon attack, or you've got the Fiery Teleportation, so it can teleport you and up to a couple other people. Within
5 feet, so I guess depending on how you set up the battlefield, how many people can be around you.
Yeah. A little 15-foot blink, essentially, and it, this little pulse of damage, 1d6 plus your efficiency bonus of fire damage. So, yeah, there it is.
There it is.
And he lasts for an hour, until it's reduced to 0 hit points. And you cannot to use the feature again or to summon spirit again or until you die. So this is he uses a wild shape usage to summon this guy. It lasts for an hour. So.
Yes. All right. Then at level 6, we have Enhanced Bond. Whenever you cast a spell that deals fire damage or restores hit points while your wildfire spirit is summoned, roll a d8 and you gain a bonus equal to the number rolled to 1 damage or healing roll of the spell. So you're basically just getting 1d8 extra.
Right.
Healing or
to either
damage.
Fire damage or healing spells.
In addition, when you cast a spell with a range other than self, the spell can originate from you or your wildfire spirit. So you can cast different spells from your location or the spirit's location. Many reasons why that might be applicable, but it does say it is cast. You cast it, so you're still the one. If it's a concentration spell, you're the one still concentrating on it, not the spirit. You can't just have the spirit concentrate and just run away, which would be interesting. Yeah. But that is what it is. So then at level 10, we have Cauterizing Flames. When a small or larger creature dies within 30 feet of you or your wildfire spirit, a harmless spectral flame springs forth in the dead creature's space and flickers for 1 minute. When a creature you can see enters that space, you can use your reaction to extinguish the spectral flame and heal the creature or deal fire damage to it. The healing or damage equals 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Regain all uses on a long rest. So, if you have lots of little things on the battlefield that are dying and getting picked off, then you're going to have lots of little flames all over the battlefield that you can have either mines or healing bombs, depending on the circumstance. And then lastly, at level 14, we have Blazing Revival. The bond with Wildfire Spirit can save you from death if the spirit is within 120 feet of you when you are reduced to 0 hit points and fall unconscious. You can use the spirit to drop to 0 hit points. And then you regain half your hit points and immediately rise to your feet. So basically, the Wildfire Spirit's taking one for the team, and it's going to die instead of you, essentially. Mm-hmm. And once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Yep. So a nice way to... It's a little bit better than, like the half-orc racial where you just come back up to 1. You go up to half your hit points. Yes. But you do have to have the Wildfire Spirit out when it happens, and it has to be within 120 feet of you as well. And it says you reduce to 0 hit points and fall unconscious. So something like a Disintegrate, not going to save you from that because you have to actually fall unconscious, not be, evaporated.
Disintegrated, yeah.
So there is that. But those are all of the abilities gained in the subclass. So now we'll move on into the rating portion. And first up is the roleplay value.
Indeed.
Asterisk, as always, talking about the roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order.
Right.
Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. All of that is on you as a player. Can't rate you as a player. Can only rate the abilities and how these abilities gained in this subclass might improve your potential in these different circumstances. So, based on the abilities here, looking at all of these abilities, as you can kind of notice here, most of these abilities are heavily focused on combat. There are a couple spells here and there that might have some RP uses and some niche senses. And having the Fire Spirit be able to teleport around as its action can maybe have some niche RP uses. If you have like small gaps or you're trying to like get behind stuff, I guess you do have to see it, so maybe if you can like see like under a door, like there's some like gray areas here, like you can see under the door or through the cracks or something or through the keyhole, they can see the other side.
I didn't think of that. That's actually probably a really good use for it.
Yeah, you kind of just have them duck down and look down, and like everyone gather around and just go behind a locked door as long as there's a way to see on the other side. Stuff like that. So there's definitely some niche RP uses on here. Most of the spells are more on the combat side, but there's like plant growth and stuff like that. Could have some uses outside of combat. So again, mostly combat focused. We just went with a 2 out of 5 on the roleplay value. So most of the roleplay on here is going to have to come from you being a creative player and not from the abilities gained in the subclass.
Right. Like there's a lot of interesting flavor with the RP, but as far as mechanical RP, extra abilities, uses, things like that, a little more on the limited side.
Right.
On the combat side, there's a little bit more of a focus, for sure, because you're getting an extra friend that you can summon to do both attacks and affect the battlefield in different ways. You can teleport groups out of danger if need be, and they're not very far, but
can't be too much danger.
Right. But looking at the spell list, you're getting free fire spells for different types of damage. And honestly, druids have the biggest thing. Druids have a lot of crowd control, things like that, battle affecting spells. So, getting some extra damage options and getting some healing and life-based spells. They don't have to worry about preparing every day. Right. I think is a big thing that people don't. Until you really think about it, like, oh, well, you have access to that anyway. Yes, but you don't have to worry about preparing Cure Wounds every day. Right. It's just given to you, which allows you to then be a lot more flexible with your choice, knowing you've always got at least a couple healing spells in there. Onto the enhanced bond side of things, I think being able to buff your fire damage spells, which it gives you access to, or buff the healing spells it gives you access to, or the ones you would have already to choose from to start with, is great. It doesn't cost you anything else as long as your Flame Spirit is up, which you're going to use your Wild Shape for that. If you're going to be in combat anyway, it lasts an hour, so it's going to be up. The only drawback is I really wish the Summon Spirit was a bonus action, so you can still cast a big spell in that open turn. A little awkward. But you can find a bonus action spell to pop, things like that. There are some that exist for druids you can do as a bonus action to make up for that. But I think the most interesting and effective way this ability helps is actually being able to originate the spell from either you or your spirit's location, which then opens up the abilities to short range cone, so you can actually send your spirit into danger per se, and you can still be a little bit further back if it can get there. And Cauterizing Flames, great extra, just healing or damage to the fact that it's a choice, again, how you want to handle the free buff as long as something's getting knocked down around you. And if that's not happening, you're not doing combat right now. It is a limited use. It's 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier, which is a good number per when it happens. But, proficiency bonus per day, so at, 3, 4, 5, eventually 6 uses a day, which is, it's not bad. It's helpful. And finally, just the free get up when you get knocked unconscious. There's gonna be a point in time if you play the subclass where that saves a TPK.
It's definitely possible.
100%. It will happen at least once, or it will turn a battle from holy crap we're in trouble to we got a chance. We're still in this. That will definitely happen.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, because because if your party's made up and you're the only character that has access to healing at all. Yep. That would be huge. The fact that your healer can just get himself back up for
first
free.
One to go down.
Yeah, because you just got blown up by some ability or something. you caught a couple of crits because you're just that guy.
It happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
To the best.
So we went with a 3.5 out of combat.
Yeah.
If the Wildfire Spirit had a more range of actions and abilities, or had further buffs to like more damage you could do besides just the fire spells, which druids don't have a ton of fire spells they have access to.
You're relying mostly on the spells given.
Right, you really are as far as the fire side of things. It would probably get higher on the list. Interesting, but still mechanically decent.
Yeah, I think the abilities are fine. They're just a little bit more on the lackluster side. They're not like big numbers coming out. And also with the Fire Spirit, it does do extra damage and stuff, but you have to use your bonus action to command it. So there's that. Otherwise, it doesn't really do anything.
Right.
And then your level 10 and 14 abilities are pretty niche because if there's not a lot of enemies on the battlefield, if you're fighting one or two things, giving that little Fire Spirit thing to heal or damage is basically not going to be even used because there's one target. I mean, it is not going to matter. And then also, as I know one thing Alex likes to point out a lot is abilities that don't trigger until you die are typically not the best abilities because you don't want to be dying.
Right.
So
you're hoping an ability never has to happen.
It's nice to have when it does.
Yes.
But you're hoping you never have to use it.
Right.
And if you're hoping your capture an ability it never has to be used, it feels kind of bad.
Feels bad.
Yeah. So all that being said, move on to the synergy side of things. And kind of maybe touch on a couple things already with this.
That's how it goes though, with synergy in general.
Yeah, it can sometimes depending on circumstances, but main things with the Druid against Full Caster, Wild Shape are some of your bigger things as a Druid. And having the Spirit being able to cast from multiple spots makes casting more interesting, as Alex was saying, if you're trying to cast something like Burning Hands or whatever, to get in there and do
cure
some
wounds,
damage.
be able to heal a friend to cure wounds when you're somewhere
like
else. Absolutely.
Or see around a corner, like it can cast around, I think there's some gray areas on there. But depending on how your DM goes through with some of that stuff. But having extra synergy with the Wild Shape uses can be useful again because if you're not Circle of Moon Druid, Wild Shape is pretty much useless for you in combat. You can still use it for RP and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But once you hit a certain like mid-tier level, then you're just not going to use Wild Shape.
Nope.
It's not going to be very effective.
Nope.
It's just going to be tiny little things on there that don't do anything. So having another use for that is nice. And again, the bonus damage with fire is nice, but nothing crazy. So all that being said, we gave it a 3.5 out of 5 on the synergy. It's nice, but nothing that's going to be game-breaking or really shift the tides of combat too much. But again, some synergy on here, being able to cast from multiple locations can be very interesting and helpful. Being able to get in damage up close or get a utility spell over, maybe divert some attention to your Fox or whatever Fire Spirit you have out there against a dumb creature could maybe save your party. So stuff like that can definitely be interesting. But again, nothing too crazy.
Yep.
So before we wrap up on here, Tasha has a quote about all the subclasses. So what does she say about this one, Alex?
Well, she's talks about the trial and error here, Jameson. As Tasha says, I can't tell you how many times I have burned everything to the ground and started over.
I think I've been there a couple times.
Definitely, yeah. That's what I've done with my head a couple times. Just burn it all off.
Burn it down. Yeah. But that's going to wrap it up for this one today, guys. So if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications to know all of our new videos are coming out. If you want to see more from us, from Tasha's, or anything else,
absolutely,
let us know in the comments down below if you have any experience playing as a Druid or any thoughts about this subclass. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.